And that's the truth about spiritual practice. Any time that we are involved in loving God, loving neighbor, loving ourselves, we are involved in spiritual practice. Anytime we are involved in putting more joy and hope and peace and love into the world, we are engaged in spiritual practice because we are doing the kingdom building work that God calls us to do. And certainly spending some time by ourselves with our hands folded and our scriptures out, that is loving ourselves, and we should do that. And sometimes spending time at the food pantry, making sure that those who don't have enough have opportunities to eat. That is spiritual practice. That is putting love into the world. And we should do that, right? Anytime we are in the business of loving others, loving God, and loving ourselves, we are involved in spiritual practice, and we should do it. So sometimes it looks like we expect it to look, and sometimes it very much doesn't. And the problem that I had 10 years ago when I said I didn't think I was very good at it wasn't that I didn't have spiritual practices. It was what I didn't understand that what I was doing was a spiritual practice. God was feeding my soul. I just didn't know when and where and how. I wasn't tuned in and paying attention. And it's interestingly enough, when I learned to tune in and learned to pay attention to where God was feeding my soul, where I was getting my life, where my joy was coming from, it became easier to do all the other things, and it became easier to share it with others. That's what God wants. That's what being a disciple is to take care of ourselves in all the ways that we need to, mind, body, and spirit. To be God's hands and feet, to bring the joy into life, to bring the love into life, to bring the grace into life that God calls us to, however that happens for you. Because it's going to be different. Some of you are really good at one thing, some of you are very good at another. God made us different and unique for a reason. How we communicate with God is different and unique for each one of us, but we get to take for granted that God is there, that God is listening, that God cares. And that God is there when we're walking through the woods and we feel so close to him. God is there when we're meditating. God is there when we're praying with our scriptures. God is there when we're driving in our car. God is there when we are cooking in our kitchen. God is there when we are practicing our music. God is there whenever we are putting our gifts into practice to love God, love our neighbors, and love ourselves. When those things are going on, we are practicing our spirituality. We are doing what we are asked to do. Amen.